Welcome to episode 48 of Pineapples and Thorns. I'm Kat, and with me tonight are Peter and Fado. Hey, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
So, this has been a pretty tough week for everybody, for the podcast community, and also for our little extended Clash family. We play a mobile game, Clash of Clans, and for many it may be just a time waster game. Not much to do outside of farming and warring, but for many it's more than that. It's a community. And for those of us lucky enough, often a family of friends who become very close. And a week ago, we lost a member of our family, Hiro, from Crystal to Join, and the co-host of the Only Clash podcast, in a tragic car accident. So it's been really tough for the entire family and his clanmates and his friends and his loved ones. And the outpouring of love for him and his family from the Clash community has been really what we in general expected, nothing short of amazing.
And to honor Hiro, the Crystal to Join guys decided to do a Hiro Memorial War. And everyone who signed up, and was going to be a random spin, everyone who signed up was going to have to use Hiro's attack, of course, the Blizzard opener.
Yeah.
I think he'd switch to dragons, but I think lots of guys tried Lalo and other stuff.
Yeah.
They did a random spin, but they matched Gideon's Keep, which is part of the Klaus Gaming family, Catfish and Proverbs 31. And so those guys were chatting and they said, it had filled up so fast that they didn't get an opportunity, right? I guess they heard a day or two later. And but they just clambered together and were basically going to hunt Crystal to Join to match them for that war, and really hyped it up, which was fantastic. They had guys from, I forgot the name already.
Quantum's Web.
Quantum's Web, right. Jesse Spoker was in there. He did a really good Blizz Lalo into Barch. So of course, jumping ahead a little bit, but Carl decided to stream for a couple hours. I wasn't able to get my attacks in on stream. I was just arriving into the house at the time, but I got to listen to it. He had a good stream going. I think I saw money as 55, 56 people in at a time.
Yeah, it was a great stream.
It was really great. And then also to go along with that, and of course, Crystal to Join won that war for Hiro, which was very nice. Trample Damage, who was on the periphery of the C2J guys, he has offered as a content creator, to donate his creator portion of all the gold pass, all the purchases, if you use code Trample for the month of January. So that's use code Trample. There's been some new skins and a new scenery released. Kat, did you buy that new scenery?
I bought the scenery. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, I must say. I spent some time actually just kind of watching the screen with the shadow puppets on it today. Mesmerizing.
And how about you, Fado? What do you think of that furry hero skin?
Yiff is what I would say to that. It's yiffy-tastic.
Oh boy. Okay.
How about you, Peter? Did you buy any of that?
I have not bought any of it yet. There is a hero book. What else is in there? A hero book something combo that I have my eye on to keep my pets rolling along. But use code Trample if you buy anything, people. And, right to the end of January, Trample's being very generous. So thanks to him.
For sure.
All these events unfolded after January 1st, so a lot of gold passes had been bought.
Yeah.
But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and buy a couple of those packs that I otherwise probably wouldn't, just so, as a thank you to Trample and a thank you and an appreciation of all that Hiro meant to all of us.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, fantastic idea. You got some CFF news for us?
I do, starting with SCWL in Red Thorn. So, of course, we made it up to Champs 2 this month, and Crystal to Join was also in Champs 2, so we had the bright idea to spin at the same time and just see if we could, get a match. I think Ace spun for C2J, and they matched in about 12 and a half seconds, and poor Cat, consistent with our theme of long spins, we had about I think a 13 or 14 hour spin, so war started in the middle of the morning or very early morning, probably right on time for Lolly getting up.
Yeah, it worked out well for her.
I think it's probably because, we're in Canada or something, and our clan is set to Canada. maybe that was it. I don't know. It's crazy to think that, who knows what is going on in those algorithms, but at the end of the day, Cat's power just transcends all other attempts to do things the way we would like. I mean, they were probably
So,
they probably knew Cat hit the spin button, so they're like, all right, we got to just round up all the clans, seven
All the
clans,
Canadian clans, yeah.
or seven clans that were demoted from Champs 1.
Oh yeah.
people who are really angry.
Actually, we started out really strong. Vodka Soda
Mhm.
was running the lineup for me this week, or this month, or for us, excuse me. And we ended up really starting out strong. We were contending for first. We did end up finishing in fourth, according to VS, with one less 1-star and a 2-star on a missed hit. We could have actually promoted into Champs 1. It was that close. So
Yeah, that's
kudos
amazing.
to those guys. Yeah, they did really, really, really well.
Now, as I was parked in TGF for that week, was there a war lost because of a missed hit or anything like that, or was it just that tight in those places?
That war was lost.
Yeah,
Boo.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of heartache, but it's just growing pains. We'll get there.
exactly.
Hey, we managed to hang on, which was something, because I think poor Crystal DeJoyne got demoted.
Yeah.
You know, the end of their week was it put in a little turmoil, so totally understandable.
Hmm.
In TGF, though, we did end up placing second. It was hard fought also. Stars for second, third, and fourth were 259, 259, and 258, respectively.
Wow.
So we basically had the destruction advantage of just over 300. So third place was just about 300 destruction percentage behind us. So that was really great in TGF.
That's super close.
Yeah. The rated was running a mixed breakdown of 15, 14s, and 13s. And they managed to promote from Masters 3 up to Masters 2.
Hmm.
They finished in first place with 305 stars, which was pretty good, I thought.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, I got a lot of dipping in that week. Let's just put it that way.
I had a boy Fado. Dark Allegiance also finished first with 510 stars. We had some last minute scrambling to get up to 30 there. But we still stayed 17 stars ahead of the second place team. So that team also happened to smack us in the head-to-head. They had a bunch of 15s, and we only run 12s and stuff. So it was good. Lots of fun. The Royal Rumbles are coming back. Town Hall 14 will run in mid-February, and then we'll redo Town Hall 15, or excuse me, we'll be redoing Town Hall 14 in mid-February, and then we'll have the inaugural Town Hall 15 Royal Rumble in mid-March.
Nice.
So look forward to signing up for those ones.
Mhm.
What else is coming? Crystal DeJoyne is going to redo the Pepsi versus Coke Wars. This one is actually going to be a draft war. If you have any interest in throwing your hat in the ring, you need to sign up in the C2J server. And then the
Filling
teams will
up
be
fast.
drafted. It's filling up fast, yes. But we need 100 people. Well, I guess we can handle up to 100 people. So get in there, people. It's another fun event. Ace has already started, so.
Yeah, it's they're going at each other. That's for sure.
And then, Fado, I know this one's going to be really interesting to you. Reddit is hosting a Builder Hall 9 single elimination tournament.
Where? Sign me up.
Yep. The entire tournament will be done through friendly challenges, much like we do our Royal Rumbles. Each match will require players to join a clan at a specific time to attack. And anyone who doesn't show up will be disqualified. And everybody will get one attempt per match. So much like the CFF does with the Royal Rumbles, just this one will be through Reddit and for Builder Base.
I wonder if that's been done before, like a builder base tournament. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm
Interesting.
Who wants to do that? I'm not sure. I guess there's people that still want to do that.
I think they had 128 signups.
Already, okay.
Yep.
Interesting. What else is interesting? Oh, Red Thorn is just about 25 wins away from 600. And the rated is just over 25 wins away from 400 wins. So stay tuned. We're going to make an event out of both of those milestones.
Awesome.
And I think that is all I have.
All right. Let's talk a bit of Clash, Fado.
All right. Yeah. So making some waves in the past week or so, Judah Sloth released his most desired changes, upgrades, enhancements, what have you, for Clash of Clans, his wish list. And it's kind of interesting because anyone who watched that and who listens has probably heard us talking about some form of some of these. So without further ado, any thoughts on the ability to FC or attack your own base, Kat?
Yes, definitely. I think that would be a great little quality of life improvement. You have people on, maybe they're on at strange times of the North American night, like you might have some UK members or members in other time zones, and they come on and there's nobody to FC with. Well, if they want to test a base, how do they do that?
Peter,
I'm thinking back to when we had the pros in the clan. Lexnos came in, right? And he had to bring in a second account to show us how he would attack his own base.
Right.
That would just be a really, really neat thing for the Clash universities and those guys, where they could just say, hey, this is how I would attack this base, and let you see it.
That's a good point.
And another thing that he mentioned was the ability to boost your pet house. That's something that is missing. There is no book, there is no potion, there's nothing to speed up the pet house except green elixir. What do you think of that, Peter?
You know what? I don't mind it, mostly because right now it's Town Hall 15. I still have all 6 builders going. I can still upgrade a pet as soon as I have enough dark. So, although we've talked about a potion of whatever we're going to call it, pet acceleration. I don't know what we were going to call it, but yeah, that would still be a nice feature.
Oh, like a pet growth hormone.
That's exactly.
Okay, yeah, so we want to delve into the dark arts and black markets and whatnot. So Peter, we'll get out of the criminal line of thinking and go to Kat, who's just, peachy clean.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think having a potion would be nice to be able to speed up, because you have a potion for speeding up the lab. So why not?
Yeah.
The pet house.
They could they could even wedge it in with the research potion, right? You could say like, whenever you use a research potion, your lab and your pet house go on, steroids. Man, back to the, things that the unsavory parts of Clash we'd rather not delve into. But
so yeah, I think it's definitely something that they should look into if they're not already.
All right, stop me if you've heard this one before. The ability to cancel a super troop. What do you think, Peter?
Want it, love it, need it. Sometimes I dabbled with super miners there, and of course, what was the companion troop? Oh, and sneaky gobs always, right? But then I want to go back to doing my little E-Titan crash thing, so I need super wall breakers back. So yeah, I wouldn't mind.
And how about you, Kat? Have you ever found yourself in a position where, especially like in a CWL week, tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, like Judah was saying, you unlock, your super wall breakers because you need those, right? It's almost a given that unless you're doing some kind of air attack that for some weird reason you don't need to break walls to get your heroes in, then you're stuck with that. Plus, I don't know, say you unlocked super dragons or super bowlers, you're stuck with those for at least 3 days. So if you come across a base that screams, I need some super gobs for this, or jeepers, I could really use an ice hound,
And let's face it, not everybody is going to gem, let's say, Super Archer, right? Super Archer Blimp is still really popular in Red Thorn. We're having to gem those because no one has them unlocked. Yes. So it would be nice that, if you have Dark Elixir, you could just unlock them.
Yeah.
Donate those Super Archers for the war and then cancel and carry on with your Sneaky Gobs or whatever you need.
Yeah.
And before they changed the way that worked, a couple updates ago, I found myself dragging a mini into the clan or visiting my minis clan where I would always have, I don't war very much on that account. So I would just unlock, the super troops that people seem to be requesting the most often that also weren't unlocked. Super Whiz, for example.
Super Whiz,
Blizzards, big time. The next thing he talked about, and I have a lot of thoughts on this as a programmer, but I'm going to try and not delve into this myself too much, at least in front of you guys. But the ability to choose what town hall level you would like to do friendly challenges at. So, let's say you have a clan that's got a pretty mixed breakdown, and your town hall 12 guy is like, hey, I need to practice this attack against a Town Hall 12. Well, wouldn't it be neato as a 13, 14, or 15 that you could somehow post a Town Hall 12 friendly challenge. What do you
hmm
make of that, Kat?
I love that idea. It's, I'm not sure the logistics of the programming end of it to make it work, but you've gone through all these levels. You want to help out your clanmate, but you're stuck because you're a max 15, for example, and there's nobody else on. So this person, you can't say, well, jeepers, I went through that level. These attacks really work for me. Why don't we do some practice attacks?
Yeah, and Judo even mentioned maybe you could have a clan leaderboard for FCs or clan
hmm
tournaments with FCs. Peter, did you have any thoughts on that?
Actually, I really like this idea. I am not a big FCer. I'm in Legends League, so I get enough attacking in, I feel. Or not enough, but it's all I can do to get them all in anyway. But I think there are a lot of people that are very into FCs, and I think it would be a way of promoting practice. I know a lot of people are struggling with Town Hall 15, but they're not really, they're attacking in wars, but maybe not getting the reps in. So maybe seeing their name at the top of that FC board could encourage them to practice a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And it could sort of encourage activity in game as well, because if you have people doing friendly challenges there's like this leaderboard, like clan leadership could maybe like run some contests or something, saying, whoever's at the top at the end of the season gets a gold pass or
Something,
nitro or whatever.
yeah.
Oh, a fruit basket.
A fruit basket. Yes.
So,
A pet potion.
one of the difficulties I could see with this is if, let's say, you're a rushed 14 or 15 and you're 4 levels behind on some archer towers or something like that. I mean, you've built all the buildings so you can advance, but you just haven't maxed anything. How would you drop down to, say, as a 15, you're 4 archer tower levels behind? If you were to do a 14, say, I want to be a 14 for this FC, and somewhere like in this imaginary world that's great, Supercell has provided base slots for specific town hall levels. So I can use my TH14 base slots, but what archer tower level are those, right? Are they still 4 levels behind the max of a 14? Or do we just, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
gets a little tricky there. And that's
Way to
where
rain on the parade, Fatal.
my developer spidey sense starts like sending tingles up my spine. But
Yeah.
at any rate, we went through this game a certain way, right? I mean,
hmm
probably stopped rushing our own main bases around Town Hall 8.
Right.
Yep.
Even then, like back in the day, it didn't take all that much to get to Town Hall 8, even without all the potions and books. So, to people like us, we're like, oh, let's just roll with it. Let's do it. And I can see how it would be complicated for them. And like you said, and I think there are other things. We remember playing the Town Hall 9 game in Clash of Clans circa 2014 or so, right?
hmm
And it's a lot different now.
Yeah.
You would have to find a way to have like the old rule set put in place. We would be able to block certain troops, like you could only donate Town Hall 9 or even 10 level troops or something. I think right now to a town hall, I don't know how they do cap the level you can donate to them, but I
hmm
don't know if it's capped. Like you can say, okay, donation levels capped at Town Hall 10 as an additional like setting. That would be kind of cool. But even then, like a lot of the AI has been updated since then, hopefully for the better in the background. But I do wonder what that would be like. But I could go, as you can
Programmer's
tell,
nightmare.
I could go on and on about that. So why don't we just move forward with another of our common complaints? Why can't we use heroes for FCs and wars and everything else while they're upgrading? So Judo said, let's just use them at their existing levels, or even have the ability to pause the upgrade. So Peter, what's your take on that?
Yes. I, though, am a dirty gemmer, right? I won't put a hero down unless I have a book or enough gems to wake them right back up. Because I like the war part of it. Sitting out for a week is not really my cup of tea.
hmm
So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. for the free-to-play people. Somebody we were talking to recently, Kronk, right? Kronk's because he's only spent maybe $100 on this game his whole life, like 10 years, which is amazing to me. Because it's just not how I think to play. But yeah, I think it's a good, nice thing to do.
You think with all the royalty money he gets from Disney, he'd have a little more to spend.
Seriously, I know. But he must spend it on haircuts, right?
All right, what do you say, Kat, to your heroes?
Definitely. For anybody who's tried to do a war with any of the heroes down, it's once you get used to sort of playing with that hero, like whether particularly the Queen and the Warden,
and the Warden,
trying to war without them, even if you're dipping, it's so difficult.
Mm-hmm. I think that, Town Hall, Town Hall 9 might be the last one where you have a chance of tripling without your heroes. Because you can spam a Lalo and against the right base. It's not like a general rule, but it can be done.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially like when you get up to 13, 14, 15, forget about it. You're better off to sit out.
Yeah, which again is tough to do.
War sceneries. Kat, I know you probably want to run with this one, so have at it.
Well, there was a war scenery that they did release, and I did buy it. I think it'd be.
War maps? Excuse me, is this war sceneries or war maps? I might have misunderstood his thing.
It's the war. He was talking about the war map itself. They have that kind of.
The broken town halls and the kind of the trail between them. Yeah.
So he was looking at some kind of a customizable skin for that, and I think that's never going to happen.
Oh, that'd be so cool if we could make our own. But then again, like, how do you stop like someone like me from just putting a bunch of naughty words on the scenery, right?
That would never happen.
No, not in our clan. I mean, maybe they'd figure out a way to dump a bunch of asterisks on that, like they do in clan chat. Speaking of, before I ask Peter about the war map stuff, we did have a really funny incident today. I don't even know what Royd was trying to say, but he had about 3 separate lines of a lot of asterisks, and he put it in different terms, but it was a real moment of hilarity, and yeah, I really appreciate you, Royd. So Peter. Yeah, oh God, I'm sorry, Kat, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's slot that in on the wish list as please Supercell fix that glitch.
Fix the chat.
Unless Royd was really putting something that no one needed to read in there. Sacrificing chickens or God only knows. Sorry for all the poultry people, but anyway, Peter, customizable war map, what say thee?
I don't need that. I understand why he maybe would like it, but to me, that is the war map. Now I know how to navigate it. I see it's very clear to me. So not high on my list, but I can appreciate other people would want the change.
Yeah.
I really wish they would also take a look at that specifically for, I think is it the CWL war map where it's really easy to click on the wrong place.
Yeah, they overlap too much.
Only the CWL war map, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think I might have told this story a couple months ago, but I think I told it on voice, but not on the podcast, that I actually had that happen to me in CWL, and I was the 14th of 15 attackers.
Oh, dear.
And it just so happened that the one it overlapped with was also unhit.
Oh, shoot.
It was just the biggest fluke. I mean, and at that point you're like, well, this is not the base I called, and I'm just used to just hit attack, whatever.
Right.
Always attack from scout. Always.
You 3-starred that base though, didn't you, Fado?
Sure, after a couple of attempts. Yeah, if you add up the stars.
Attaboy.
Builder base 2.0. Cat. All we know is something's coming.
Yeah, there's been nothing released on that. They just keep teasing it, which I know has everyone super excited because I'm sure it'll be a massive update.
Yeah, and I went to you for answers, Kat, not for hopes and dreams. So what really is it? You should know. You're plugged in. You get the gift boxes.
It's just going to be pie in the sky, I'm sure. No idea.
A second hero is probably what the 2.0 stands for.
Oh my gosh,
Peter. So I know your answer is going to be, well, wait and see. So I'm going to pose it to you a different way. how long did it take for you to kind of burn out on Builder Base 1.0?
Never, I don't think, because clan games were involved in Builder Base, like to get up your gold pass quicker. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember that day on the podcast though when I said, "Oh my gosh, I finished Builder Base, every wall and everything." So just happens.
Yeah, I think I stopped taking it as seriously as soon as I on any account except my main. My main I did I was diligent. But on any mini, the second I got the 6 builder, I was just like whatever happens with clan games and whatnot happens.
Well, how many Builder Base 6 builders do you have then?
Well, it used to be 3 and then one of the accounts got hacked, so it's just 2.
Sorry.
Yeah, it happens.
How about you, Fado? How do you feel about new and improved Builder Base? What do you think? What do you think we're going to get?
Well, I think it's going to be more like Legends in some way, where it will define a handful of bases in your range to hit, and you'll get a certain amount of hits a day. I don't know how they'll do the win bonus, if that will go away, because right now you can't really loot another base. You either win or lose, and you
Right.
take all the loot. So
How would you feel about Builder Base Wars?
No.
I think I'll tell you, there's definitely an audience for that, but that's not me. I with Clan Capital coming in and the importance of maybe not so much advancing, but getting the raid medals up. That's really important because raid medals is the one way you can get Dark Elixir without spending any money.
Yes.
Obviously outside of farming, but you cannot buy it from the builder. You can buy 2.5 million from the builder real cheaply with whatchamacallit, the CWL raid medals, but from it's so that has actually come in pretty helpful, when at those times I get busy, and let's say you're upgrading a king and a queen and keeping the pet house busy. Those raid medals come in real handy.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, seasonal challenges, special events. What do you think about making those perpetually available, like in the single player screen? How about we go with Kat on this one?
I kind of like it because, some of the things that they've come up with are pretty fun and challenging. And for whatever reason, maybe people didn't have a chance to get them done during the first time that they were released, so it would be nice to revisit them and maybe not have the prizes that that were available when they first came out, but at least have them up there so that you can play around and try, either your mass skelly spell attacks again, all that stuff. Judo had mentioned they put a lot of work into developing these things. It's kind of a shame to just see them disappear.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting. He pointed out how personal it was, and he, because he put work into it, and he just thought it kind of stinks that this content that I spent time on, just kind of goes into the ether.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Peter? I mean, have you? Do you have any objections to that from Judo, or any thoughts to enhance it?
I like the idea. I think it would allow the YouTube creators, the guys that say, "I'll beat the base this way." Those videos would get back and played again. So it might help those guys out just from a number of views point of view. And they're fun. They're tough sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can do them. Sometimes I cannot do them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the particularly interesting ones are always the ones where they rip them right out of worlds. Hey, this guy tripled this base in world finals. How about you? And I'm just are you kidding me? How many sieges are you giving me?
Yeah, that's right. I need 2 queens.
That one from the lunar challenge today is pretty tough. It's tricky. I won't say it's tough because they give you a level 68 king and the level 80 queen. I'm not too sure what level she is.
Okay.
But no warden or anything. And there are so many traps. There's so many Teslas.
Hey, don't spoil it for me. I haven't done it yet, Kat.
Okay. Well, I haven't finished it yet either.
All right. Mini games during maintenance. Peter.
Interesting idea. I am already finding Clash of Clans very busy, so when maintenance drops, I actually go out and do real life stuff like vacuum or do the dishes or something like that. So I
No,
would prefer them not put extra stuff into the game, but I can see that it would be very nice to keep people engaged with their game if they could pull that off.
now, what if the mini game was about vacuuming?
I'd be all in there.
All
Virtual
right.
virtual vacuuming, yes.
All right, Kat. How about you? Virtual cookie baking, or what kind of things would you like to see them add?
I don't think they need to add anything on that end of it. Like Peter says, if there's a maintenance break, it's usually pretty short, and then I'll go do something else. If it's a long one, then I'll just go back to sleep.
And at the end of the day, what it does do, it will take time away from developers.
Yeah,
true.
And we want content for the main village.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Builder Base 2.0.
Shush.
The ability to filter the heck out of the Legend League leaderboard. Add more, add more than just in my country and global. So can you filter by a town hall level, and any other things they could filter on? That would be neat. And I kind of don't really see that one would be super easy to implement, I think. What do you say, Peter?
I think so. And yes, I would like to be able to see. I don't know how they would do this, but the content creators again, where do they stand on the leaderboards? I know some of the names like Stars and those guys push hard, and it would be neat to kind of follow them more easily.
Wow, you just gave me a great idea. As part of that, as part of these leaderboards, why wouldn't they have like creator codes somewhere in that list?
Sure.
If they're available, or some sort of an like even badges for like world participant or something like that.
Yep, it's a great idea. I mean,
What do you
Gaku,
think?
right? We already see that on his YouTube channel, right? His race to #1. Let us find him easy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Additional metadata for a player. Interesting. So I guess the trick there is that I wouldn't make my YouTube link something that was R rated. So what do you think, Kat? Any additional filters you'd like to see, or ways of looking at legends, or even just players in general?
I think the ability to filter by town hall is interesting. It's not critical to the game, but I can see it would be really interesting for people to say, well, how many town hall 12s are there up in the legends? Like, how many town hall 9s? Because we know there are people at town hall 9 and lower that do make it up there. So it's kind of just a novelty and a kind of a curiosity from my point of view. But it would be interesting for them to have a sort of a current list of content creators and codes for people who can I support, out there, that like everybody knows the big names, but there's a lot of smaller content creators, like, maybe Trample Damage isn't as well known as some of people like Judo and Itsu, but people who want to support lesser known content creators, how do they find them?
That's right.
So it would be nice to have something like that.
Yeah, and then Kat, his next idea was rewind for replays on attacks. Joel and I at one point in time geeked out and talked about why they don't do this, but that's not important. Let's talk about it, if we could have it, or what it would take. I'm telling you, they'd have to move mountains based on how they've done it, but forget that's not important. How important would it be? How good of an enhancement would it be if they were to provide this?
From my point of view, there was a time when it would have been really, really great back in the days when I had to watch replays and rebuild the base during League.
Oh, yes.
You're trying to rebuild a base and find all the traps, and you'd watch it to a certain point, and then you'd have to go back out and rewatch it again well, where's the tornado trap? Got to find it. Let's go back and rewatch it again, instead of being able to rewind. And so now with people having the ability to copy bases from links, it's not quite as critical. But I did a while back we had struggled on a base in a war, and so I went back and built it. It brought back all those memories of, okay, got to rewatch the base again to find the trap. So
oh yeah, and I'm one tile off on
exactly.
all this stuff, and so thankfully I can move the entire base one tile to one side now.
Yes.
But I think for content creators, it might be really useful if they're putting something together for YouTube or whatever, and they want to rewatch something quickly. That might come in handy for them.
I
Yeah,
love the
Peter.
idea personally because, we often say, what the heck killed my Super Whiz, right? Oh, yeah. And then you watch it and he's like, oh, I didn't see, And then you watch again, oh, it's the scatter shot, got a shot off or whatever.
Yeah.
I think rewinding would be very handy because to fast forward to that same spot again, and it's a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we know why they can't do it because every time it's a live replay. This is really what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's really just, it's not a video file in the background. It's basically an XML file, and at exactly what point in time, at exactly what pixel on the screen was what unit dropped.
Yeah.
So, if it wouldn't take they've got a lot of my gold pass money, right? They've got a lot of my offer money. Can you take that so you could at least export an attack as a video file? You don't
Well,
have to
apparently,
host it, Supercell. Just
Yeah, don't have to
export.
host
Yeah.
it. That's right.
I've never, I play Clash Royale and I've never taken advantage of this, so I have to check it out. But he was mentioning that in Clash Royale, they do have the ability to rewind attacks. So he was wondering, it's the same company, they must use some of the same technology, right? I'm not sure how computer programs work, and I don't want to get into a detailed description, but, if there's some...
Well, pull up a chair, Kat.
No. We don't have that much time.
The last thing, a bunch of switches, options, toggles for setting up friendly wars. So not just against who and what size, but banning types of troops and spells. Even setting a breakdown that you have to fill. It can't just be 15 bodies. It's got to be 5 14s, 5 13s, 5 12s, or something like that. And no scouting before attacking, like even that. So, did you like the list he provided? Did you think of something he might have not listed? What do you say, Peter?
Yeah, I like the idea. I think the community's already kind of done this just with their groups, right? We did I can't think of potluck. We did potlucks before, right? So everybody had to run the same kind of breakdown. I think it would be handy for friendly wars to be able to say this is exactly what we want to do. But they already took away the 2 attacks, 1 attack. That was kind of nice. I wouldn't say no if they did it, but I don't think they should waste their resources providing it.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Kat?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea, and it's something that I think the war community would love. People who participate in the various leagues and tournaments. I think it'd be really handy for them. For the community at large, I don't see anybody making use of it. For the average clan out there, most of them don't do friendly wars in the first place. So,
yeah.
How about you, Fado?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. They seem like they'd be easy to add, but again, like I think you guys have already spelled this out really well. Like the people who manage the leagues really have a good handle on this. The leaders in these leagues generally are mature enough not to, do something silly and put the wrong breakout in. And even if there is a wrong breakout, a lot of times the leaders can work it out without even going to an admin saying, this person won't hit and that person won't hit. And I know that stinks, right? Well, you're excited for your war, you're anxious for your league war, and suddenly you can't hit. But
Yeah.
we've been dealing with that, forever. We even see it when streamers somehow get spun in on, the 5-on-5s. So, maybe they could fix that. But yeah, I guess when I look back at all of this, I would love for them to come forward and say and respond to judo and say, okay, these things just aren't a priority and they're never going to happen, and why, right? Don't just say never going to happen with the heroes upgrading, because they've said that 100 times. Tell us why. And I don't need you to say, I'm not trying to get you to say because we're callous capitalists and we want your money, but just say, well, there's a strategic decision, and this is what we're sticking to, and the
Hmm.
rationale is this. And if it
Or
comes
it's not
down to,
practical. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'd love for them to be able to respond, because judo has helped has helped grow this game a lot, and
A
he's
lot.
helped. So it would, and he's been a streamer for them. It's not like he hasn't gotten anything out of it. I'm not saying that in a negative way at all. Like, he's been able to travel places and cast from, on location. He's got a creator code, but at the end of the day, like, he has an audience, and a large one. So
Hmm.
I would love to hear them be transparent enough and say, okay, some of these are great ideas, some of these are good ideas but not feasible, and some of these are completely off the table, and here's why.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit. We talk about the game and our friends and that. And what makes Clash of Clans the type of game that can bring such a diverse people into a small group, and you grow to get to know each other over time, and you start to care about each other? What binds us together? The game, but what else?
Inside jokes.
Definitely your
um
sense of humor.
Absolutely. Can you laugh at yourself? How do you behave in game, right? You could have someone who's a triple artist, but who doesn't communicate enough, or is toxic. Like, that's not what our clan's ever been about. And it's just, it's birds of a feather, right? You find
Hmm.
you find the people that you're most like, um, and you can get along with, and that's always been. And I know anyone listening, a long time listener of this, has heard this 100 times. Well, hear it for 101st. Good people make good clans.
Yep.
So
Yes.
my sort of question, and I probably didn't make this clear enough, is so a lot of people play multiple games. Like, you might play Call of Duty or Destiny or whatever, right? Clash Royale. Clash of Clans seems to be quite unique. You have clans and clan families and strangers that just come. Something happens and they get together and they support each other. That War for Hero. There's been other events. What is it about Clash of Clans itself that seems to be that? I don't see that in other games.
I think it could be the demographic that Clash of Clans is kind of held on to. I mean, we're not the 17, 18-year-olds, right? We're
Hmm.
older people, but want a competitive thing. But at the same time, we want those shared experiences, right? Like today with Royd and the asterisks, it's just it
Hmm.
became funny. We're gonna now go. I'm gonna go into chat and just start putting stars and say Royd, and then put a bunch of stars and just see what he comes back with, just for fun, because it's funny, right? And
Yeah.
it's camaraderie. And other stuff we've done, like we're just together doing it. We've all been through the Town Hall 9 Archer Queen grind back before CWL medals, right? That was a grind, and everyone here has done that grind. So it's shared experience.
Yeah, I don't know if it's exclusive to Clash, because a long time ago I played Unreal Tournament, the original one, like, came out in '99, I think. And I played with the same people for years, and it wasn't as easy to keep in touch back then. There were
Hmm.
message boards and IRC. There was no Discord. Um, there was, oh God, what was the team something that was like the voice chat we would use during games, and it was Unreal Tournament's first person shooter. And I maybe it's your outlook on what the game is to you, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
because I know my limitations, right? I am what I am as an attacker. Um, but if it was just my attacking that was the enjoyment of this diversion for me, then I would have quit a long time ago. In fact, I
Mm.
did quit, um, and I came back because of without COVID, I don't know if I ever would have come back. But when I came back, there was the softest of soft landing spots for me, because of the relationships I had built up before I quit.
Hmm.
So, and that's how I've always viewed it. Like, doing it with people who, the shared experience, as Peter said, and good people. It's not, hey, he's a good attacker, so he's a good person. It's no, these are people that are asking after each other. These are people that aren't flipping out on each other when something doesn't go our way. And that's the kind of environment that's good for me.
Yeah, and I think talk apps like Discord and whatever other clans may use sort of help build on that relationship. Um, you know, it's a great way of communicating a little more in depth than what the game itself allows. Uh, you know, leadership can communicate with each other. And one thing that I sort of wanted to ask our listeners about is, what do clans do if a member or even a leader suddenly disappears? I know Supercell a few years ago introduced a feature where if the clan leader is inactive for, I think it's 90 days straight, then the leader title passes on to a co-leader. And Discord doesn't have that kind of planning feature that I'm aware of. You are the server owner. So if all of a sudden you go silent, does the clan just have to, or the group just have to sort of carry on or build a completely new server? I'm interested to hear what some of our listeners might have experienced, and they can message us on Twitter, and I'll give that information at the close of the show. And I know as leaders, we also have times on Discord where people reach out to us with different things that they're going through, like anger, stress, conflict, like whether it's in game or otherwise. Like, how does clan leadership best approach those type of issues? Peter?
Well,
sorry, Fado. I'm gonna jump in. I think it needs to be almost a collective thing because although it's an individual coming to another individual, there are a lot of dynamics within the clan. Sometimes, when I get those queries, sometimes I just, try to let the person see the other side of it. But I think it's important that as a group of leaders that we talk through that these things are happening in clan, especially when it's clan based conflict, right? Somebody jumped my call or they're not donating their troops, right? When the squeaky wheel gets the grease, the first couple of times you just got to let it squeak. Though it's not easy.
Okay.
We got our own lives to lead, and then to run
Yeah.
a clan on top of it is time consuming.
Mm-hmm. But as part of being a leader, co-leader, what have you, you do get to know the personalities of people, whether in Discord or in game, who are the jokers, who are the people that theoretically we've played with in the past that are quick to anger, or get react to things the way we otherwise wouldn't expect or wouldn't hope. So you just get to know who's who, and you get to know what buttons you can and can't push. And it's hard because you even have different types of co-leaders, don't you? You have vocal ones, those that are quick to volunteer. You have others that maybe just fill a lot of CCs on the war map, but don't really say anything, or and then everyone's got a different personality, so it can be interesting even managing the co-leaders, and not that we have management problems with them at all. It's just every one of us has a very different style, and some people might even say, look, Fado, you're such a jerk in chat because you're always chirping so and so. I said, yeah, but that's just our personal relationship. And but I'm also a co-leader, and maybe someone who's newer will see that and be like, oh, that's okay here.
Right.
So even then, I have to check my smart mouth a lot. And it's never often enough with me, trust me. But touching on something earlier, Kat, I think you've struck on like a really good business idea, like clash estate planning, right? Who, a clash will, who gets the server? And it would be interesting. Like, I think at one point in time through Clash Files, we had the ear of someone involved with either development or management of Discord. They know we've got one of the largest servers around, active servers, etc. I'd love to hear their thoughts on that. Like, because with Clash, I think it's who's the co-leader who's been in clan the longest, I think is how they pass it down. And it's got to be like 90 days. Or maybe not. It's just 90 days without activity from the leader. But Discord, wow, that's a really good thing. A really good topic, because what if something happened to someone who owned a very active server? That there's a lot of good things going on in some of the servers I'm in. A whole lot of good. I see very little negative, and if there's a lot of negative, I usually just quietly exit the server. There are a lot of servers who've sprung up adjacent to the Clash Files family. Um, Especially during COVID, a lot of people were getting a lot of support from each other on those adjacent servers, and it had nothing to do with the game. It had everything to do with the people we met in the game. So, but could you just rebuild that from the ground up if something were to
Mm.
happen? Oh my goodness. No, I mean, look, even as a developer, you're sometimes rolling your eyes about documentation sometimes, all the time. But who documents like, oh, we've installed these bots and we've done this and we've done that? No, I can't imagine anyone has done that.
No,
So that's a
exactly.
No.
really interesting, the Clash seems to have a bit of a workaround. But Discord, you're right. Like, that would be a real problem. A lot of
And
people depend on Discord.
yeah. I mean, I have seen, I think there's one time in the rated where Mike was busy and he hadn't been on his account for like 3 months, and a message came up, and that it sends a message in game that your leader has been inactive for 90 days and uh, leadership will pass to so and so. It tells you exactly who it's going to pass to. So I think
That could
that's a
that could be a
cool
real
feature.
emergency if it ends up in my lap.
Yeah, I think it was you, and everybody panicked.
That
So,
actually happened in one of the CFF clans with Rusty,
yeah,
and it passed to someone a co-leader that was active, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it
that
does
was
happen.
it
It does
does
work.
work.
So, and I guess another quick question is, what, if anything, can a clan or clan leadership specifically do, and is it our responsibility to do this to ensure that your membership is okay? If you see somebody maybe who hasn't been on for a week, do you reach out to them? What do you guys think? Beto?
Well, the new tools they gave us in game to figure out when people were last active, that's really helpful to identify that. We can always hit them
Yes.
on Discord. So that's a good thing. Additionally, you get to know the people you're clashing with in general. If you're active enough in the game, again, like, who are the people who are picking each other up after, when they seem to be down, etc. And you can kind of tell when that's absent. When maybe not they are absent, but when the behavior is absent. And so you might sense that something's up, and it really depends on your personal relationship with that person, whether you're comfortable enough, like the nature of how you reach out to them. Sometimes it's, hey, we've been clashing together for years, you know, uh, something seems like it's up. And I've only done that for a couple people, and it wasn't ever anything serious. So, but you can usually tell when something's kind of off. And I guess, I'm an oversharer by nature, so I will probably end up telling someone something's up before they would ever pick it up from me.
Mm.
But not everyone's like that. So it's interesting. As a leader, it's more about, like, do I see anything like really negatively impacting the clan going on?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, then I'll step in. Otherwise, or if I know the person very well, and not even like in real life, but just in the game. If I know them real well, I'll just be like, "Hey, is everything all right?" Um, but other than that, like, I'm actually a little gun shy because I try not to assume. And a lot of times you want there to be a cooling off period, right? You don't want to, oh, if someone just failed their attack and blew up
Yes.
in clan chat, you don't want to hit them on Discord like within a moment, because they're still emotional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're still in that mindset. So everything needs to cool down. And a lot of times that cooldown period and everything's back to normal. If that becomes a pattern of behavior, then we will probably chat about it in leadership chat, and try and figure out what we can do to help. Um, so that, I know it's quite a lot of words and long-windedness, but that's where I'm at on it.
Peter?
I'd like to add what I notice about you, Kat, is if someone misses an attack, it's someone who is normally a reliable attacker. The one thing you first say out of your mouth is, "Oh, I hope they're okay. I hope nothing happened."
Mm-hmm.
Which, that is not always my first reaction. My first reaction is they just got busy, they just got distracted, and you immediately jump to, "I hope they're okay. Hope everything's okay." So I'm hoping you'll answer that more than us.
Well, I think it goes back to a lot of things Fado said, is like by being in game, you get to sort of quote unquote know people and what their habits are. And, if somebody who never misses an attack, like say, for example, you, Peter, like if you don't make an attack, like I'm going to reach out to you and go, "Hey, are you okay?" Because it's not normal. Whereas there might be somebody who, every other war, they might miss an attack, and I'm not going to be too concerned about it.
She loves you, Peter, more than the rest of us. I think that's what I got out of that.
You know what? Kat had to remind me to make my Town Hall 13 attack in PR, and it really shook me. I feel like I'm should be on the ball with these things. I drifted into leadership there, and I have trouble keeping track of all my accounts at the moment. So I got an early shout out, Kat, for kind of giving me the wake up call on my Town Hall 13.
Hounding you.
No, I think it's very valuable. I often see you chasing people. And I think, oh, I wish you wouldn't chase people. You got other stuff to do. And then I really, really appreciated that one. So thanks.
You're welcome. So in closing, we just wanted to take a few minutes to remember our good friend Hiro. So I'll go around everybody and we can each provide our favorite memories. I'll start. And one thing that I'll always remember is our very first Shade Outs episode. We didn't know this, but there was a conspiracy brewing to get us to do Shade Outs. Hiro wanted us to shade him out so badly, and I think I ended up shading out Carl. So he won the bet, and the losers all had to change their Discord names for a month. So that was pretty hilarious.
And it took us 3 weeks to figure it out. That was the sad part. Clueless.
Yeah. Well, we were pretty clueless.
Yeah.
Kato, how about you?
So I didn't know Hiro as well as you guys did, but the one thing that strikes me is, you can always tell the impact people had in their life when they pass. And it's just a reminder of hug your close ones. It's a shame that more often than not it takes someone's passing to appreciate all they meant to us in retrospect. But what I do know is he's in with some absolute princes over there at Crystal 2J to join. So they're just wonderful people, and they attract the best of the best people. So Hiro was one of them. Peter?
Agreed. Hiro said one thing on his podcast that has stuck with me to this day, and he was talking about how he would promote the other podcasts, and it wasn't really a rivalry. And the analogy he gave was the fisherman talking about when the tide comes in, all the boats get raised up, and that really struck me. Even just saying it now, I got goosebumps again. He was just that kind of guy. He wanted the best for everybody, and I'm gonna miss him.
Very much so. All right, let's go to shout outs. Beto.
Well, C2J is off limit. I just shouted them out. So I'm going to shout out Royd for being just a heck of a clanmate, a funny guy, plays the game the way I'd love to play it, and he just brings a smile to my face whether it's in clan chat, as do just about every single person in the Clash Files family. So thank you all.
Peter?
I have a bunch. Ink and I are still talking golf, so I'm going to shout Ink out. Shout out to Carl and C-Note. Congratulations again on episode 100. Shout out to GCBC for his behind-the-scenes work, getting everybody to kind of contribute to that 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have to throw a little bit of shade out. I know we're not doing this anymore, but after that last episode, remember we were talking, Fado, about the kitchen renovation. And I said, "Oh yeah, don't tell my wife." But Miss P immediately said to my wife after she listened to the episode, "Oh, you need to listen to episode 47." And I'm like, "What? Why would she say that to Jan about episode 47?" Yeah, because I said don't say that. So shade to you.
Beto has disconnected.
And my shout out is to the entire CTJ family, especially all the people who participated in the Hiro Memorial War, and also to the Klaus Gaming family and everybody over there for putting together a team and then somehow matching CTJ for the war. That was amazing. So shout out to everybody involved, and shout out to everybody who's donated to support Hiro's family.
Amen.
So thank you everybody for listening. The CFF is a family of clans in games such as Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and many of the other Supercell games. We love to provide content via podcasts and other media. You can visit the Clash Files Discord to apply to any of our clans or to support our pods and events. As always, please send us your comments, ideas, and questions on Twitter at RedthornCOC or join the Clash Files Discord at discord.gg/clashfiles. And we'll all sign off with Hiro's signature.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Deuces.